Ron DeSantis has put himself in somewhat of a pickle, a conundrum, a difficult situation. And I want to talk about that now. Because he got prominent being the culture war guy, the woke CRT guy, anti-woke, I should say, CRT guy. Florida's where woke goes to die. You know who I'm talking about, that Ron DeSantis. He became a big conversation item for running for president, possibly challenging Trump in the 2024 presidential primary. And he leaned into it. And he's made clear with all of his actions, his tour and all that, that it's something he's planning on doing. But now it's seeming like not a great idea. And I want to show you, before we discuss further, Sarah Longwell on MSNBC talking about how he kind of now is forced to go ahead and just run. But, and we'll discuss this more in a second, it's not a good time for him to run, but he kind of has to, which is fascinating.
What do you think the chances are DeSantis decides not to run?
Oh, I don't think he can decide at this point not to run. He's effectively already in the race. This really is his moment. Yes, he's a young guy, but if he, he's positioned himself really as a fighter. And if he bows out of this particular fight, he will never get that reputation back. And the fact is, right now, there is a big chunk of the party. I do focus groups every week with Trump voters. There's a big chunk of the party that is DeSantis curious and that wants to move on from Donald Trump. But Ron DeSantis is going to have to figure out, who he's playing to in this primary. He's sort of decided for some reason that he's trying to out-Trump Trump with the base. And I think that's a mistake. I think he should be trying to consolidate these sort of move on from Trump voters and trying to really, build relationships with them and build a broad enough coalition that he can start getting these numbers back. And he can't do this thing where he decides to be sort of a supporting player in the drama around Donald Trump's indictment, where he's now out there defending Trump. He's going to have to figure out a different strategy than that if he wants to be effective.
Yeah, so what makes it hard for him to not run now is, number one, as she noted, if he's branding himself as this fighter and all of that, but then he gets scared away by Trump, and it was obvious he was going to run, but then he decides not to, and it's clear why. That doesn't look great. But more importantly, he's already taking the political attacks and the damage from Trump because Trump identifies him as a challenger and an enemy. And so he's getting the negatives of being attacked by Trump, but not the possible benefit of being successful in a primary. But then if he does end up running, now that the indictment has happened, and as she was talking about, he is being a supportive character in his story and his indictment and all of that, there's no way a kind of, I'm sort of the Trump without baggage and I can out Trump on vaccines, maybe I can be more anti-vax than him and more anti-woke than him, but also I'm supportive of his dishonest narratives in all these just different areas, including the indictment. That's not going to work when Trump's one of the candidates. Being a Trump 2.0, when Trump's one of the candidates and they can just pick the original, is definitely not a successful strategy. Now, would it work for anyone to try to consolidate the non-Trump vote? I don't know. Is there enough anti-Trump vote within the Republican Party to even make that possible? Or enough anti-plus people who like Trump but want to move on from him because a younger generation or someone without baggage? I don't think so. I think the majority of the GOP is still on Trump's side, but that probably would be a better strategy than just, hey, I'm like him, but a little better, a little younger, and a little less baggage. And the attacks keep coming from Trump here on Truth Social. Ron DeSantis is a young man who is not doing well against me in the polls. That is true. DeSantis is doing much worse these days, to put it mildly. I believe that if he decides to run for president, which will only hurt and somewhat divide the Republican Party, he will lose the cherished and massive MAGA vote and never be able to successfully run for office again. If he remains governor, which is what Florida voters assumed, it would be a whole different story. Just saying, but who knows? He has such different moods on Truth Social. It's either, Ron DeSantis is the worst and maybe he was a groomer, look at this photo, or just a thought, maybe he shouldn't run, but you do you. But the Trump versus DeSantis saga is one I've been definitely enjoying watching, and we will continue to watch it.
Good habits have to be sustainable, something you'll actually stick to. I start my mornings with a scoop of AG1 by our sponsor, Athletic Greens, because it's just so simple. One scoop of AG1 gives me the entire day's worth of 75 high-quality vitamins and minerals from whole food sources. Half of Americans are deficient in vitamin A, C, and magnesium. Taking that scoop of AG1 makes sure that I'm getting the nutrients I want without fumbling with different capsules and dosages and all of these things. AG1 is also way more cost effective than buying all of those different vitamins. I drink AG1 straight with water because I like the taste, but you could put it in a smoothie, a juice, a protein shake. I would not promote bogus supplements making crazy claims. There's no crazy claims here. AG1 is just a simple product. It does what it says it does. It helps me get what I want to get every day. And when you go to athleticgreens.com/Pacman, you will get a free year's supply of vitamin D plus 5 free travel packs of AG1. I've talked about vitamin D before. The link is down below.